Hi, I'm Tulliah and I'm chatting with Milky.
I thought I found myself a love, imagine devoting all my time. What was I doing? I had a love you had.
So I started making music when I was about 15. I fell off a horse and broke my ankle, and it seems I had nothing else to do. I just started writing. And ever since then, I entered a competition called Triple J Unearth High, and it was for high school students, and I was in year 12, and I was lucky to get a finalist, which has given me exposure. And I've just released my debut EP called Fresh Hugs, and it's about teenage experiences like mental health and romantic relationships, friends and family, as well as those relationships, and also about my friend who got cheated on while in a coma. So that's a heckers one. All my songs are always very personal to me or to someone who's very close to me. So I draw a lot of my inspiration from the people who are around me, and they're all very honest. And I think I have a good way of emphasizing with the people around me, and it's looking back, it's just because I wrote all the songs when I was in year 12, and so it's just like a little like capsule of those memories and those moments and like all those first experiences, which are all in this EP. It's all still relevant to me, and it probably always still will be, because they're like I said before, about relationships and mental health, and that's something that, you know, we all go throughout our lives. There's one particular song which is the only song I cry to still, and it's called Okay, and it's about just like letting your friends know that you're there for them, and also a glimpse into like watching someone you love go through a hard time, because, you know, nobody wants to see their friends hurting, and it's the only one I still cry on. Actually, I did a performance yesterday and it was the first time I haven't cried, so I was kind of proud. Well, I had no idea what I wanted my music to sound like. I knew what I liked and didn't like, and so going into the studio, I worked with Dean Touza, who did albums like Stella Donnelly and Mossy and the Rubens, and it was a really, really amazing experience. So I went in and I had voice memos of just my songs with just me playing guitar or piano, and we really went through the whole process together. He let me sleep in the studio, so he'd come back at like 10 a.m. in the morning, and it was just a big discovery of what my sound is. And like I said before, I didn't know it was going to be like this at all. I knew from the start that I love organic instruments, or like acoustic instruments like guitar and drums, and not too much programming. There is a lot of it, but a lot of it is still acoustic instruments that have been. I'd probably pick Okay, because I feel like it would get the best reaction, because it is very emotional and it's simple, and I feel like I'm a pretty simple kind of gal. And so it's just guitar and strings that were arranged by a guy called David Kahn, who works with Paul McCartney and Lana Del Rey. So it was amazing to have him on, and as soon as I heard the strings, I just melted, and so that's what I hope it does to other people when they listen to it. So Okay would be my pick. I feel like it would be a painting, because I feel like it has a kind of a timeless feel to the EP, or I'm trying to think of the word, but like, timeless. So when we're like 10 years down the track, it will still be relevant. And I feel like paintings will always have such a beautiful feeling and look about them, and they always, as like someone looking at the painting, your perception of it will probably change during time, and your like feelings towards that painting or what it reminds you of. It always changes. I normally am just walking around the house and I might come up with, I just have a little melody in my head and I quickly jot it down on my voice memos, and then I'd go to either guitar or piano and find the chords that work with that melody, and then just pretty much jam on it and see what happens. Usually I listen back to the voice memo and it's just a whole bunch of mumbling that I can hardly understand, but there's always one or two sentences or words that I can like pick out from all the mumbling, and it's usually like subconscious thoughts that I have been thinking and feeling, and then that's just kind of me coming to terms with it while writing the song, because half the time I don't know what I'm going to write about. It just flows out. Hopefully it's fun. So I'm on guitar, and I've got my close friends Sean on piano and Maisie on drums, so it's us three. And there's a lot of, I kind of always explain it as like a sad mosh, just a whole, but it's not sad the whole time, it's happy as well. Just a whole bunch of emotions, I reckon. Well, I remember watching my first concert and just like having this overwhelming feeling of just connection to that artist. Like, you know, you listen to their music all the time and it means something to you, and then to see them perform it in person, it's like as if they're speaking to you, and it's always such a special experience. So live music is a very important thing, I reckon, and it's always fun. You always meet people, and I hope that when people come to my show, they have one of those moments where they feel connected to me as an artist, as if they know me, as like we're friends. I went to Matt Corby about 2 years ago, and that's the best concert I've ever been to. Like, everyone was so silent, and there was hardly, oh no, actually that's a lie, there was heaps of phones recording, but everyone was so just fixed on Matt Corby and his, just the way he connects with music and translates his feelings into music. It was just a crazy thing. Everyone was just so together and just felt really connected. I love Angie McMahon, Matt Corby. He's like my music crush. I'm having a mental blank, but Emma Louise. I saw her recently. Not recently, like 2 years ago. It feels recently. And then Stella Donnelly, Tame Impala. I forgot about Tame Impala. I love him. I actually named my car after Tame Impala. I called it Parker, so it's like Park the Car, but also Kevin Parker. They're my top Australian artist. Adele. Tame Impala. I'd say Beware of the Dogs by Stella Donnelly. The Notebook. Miley Cyrus. Herbs. It's the first thing that came to my mind. No. Chili. I'm just thinking of spices now. I have no clue. Maybe some cinnamon. Radiohead would be so cool. Maybe one day. Probably Billie Eilish. Yeah. And she's... Yeah, Billie Eilish. Don't stress. Just be chill. It was probably when all my teachers were like, oh, so what university are you going to? Or what do you want to be when you're older? And I was like, I don't know what to be. I never said out loud that I wanted to be an artist or a musician. I wanted to make music for the rest of my life. And that was the moment where I actually said it out loud. So that was like a big thing. Because I didn't want to go to university. Maybe one day, but not right now.